up, everybody? I'm a guy you've never heard of, and I've got a severe case of never knowing when to shut up about things that don't matter. And I would like to welcome you all to a new segment called Niche Shit that I'm obsessed with. Now, the title is pretty self-explanatory, but for those of you who haven't quite gotten it yet, ha! Titanfall 2 is a game all about moving fast, shooting faster, trying to stay alive long enough to call down your giant fuck-off mech, and then absolutely laying waste to everything around you. It is a game with intense combat, complex gameplay, fluid, fast-paced movement, and giant fuck-off mechs. It is quite possibly the single greatest first-person shooter ever made. I mean, the people that still play it sure seem to think so. And it doesn't hurt that it's the rare example of a multiplayer game with a single player campaign that rivals the multiplayer mode in terms of quality and entertainment value. Titanfall 2 is a game with almost no mainstream appeal, next to no developer support, and a perpetually dwindling player base. But if you can actually manage to get into a match, well, first of all, you somehow managed to find all 5 of the people that still care about this game, so good for you. But you've also managed to stumble into one of the most fast-paced and exciting multiplayer experiences that you will ever have the pleasure of being bad at. Titanfall 2 is the rare example of a game that I enjoyed so much that I went out and bought it again for someone else. And I'll do it again if I have to. I don't care what it takes. I will make this game popular even if I have to do it one gifted copy at a time. Yoshi's Cookie is a 2x2 grid-based puzzle game. Yoshi's Cookie is a 4x4 grid-based puzzle. Yoshi's Cookie is a 6x6 grid-based. Yoshi's Cookie is an 8x8. Yoshi's Cookie is a grid-based puzzle game, where you match shapes in order to clear lines of cookies. The longer you take, the more cookies you have to match, meaning that as the levels get harder, you have more to work with, but you also have significantly less room for error. It is one of the cutest and most unique puzzle games I have ever played, and it is also my favorite NES game of all time. And on second thought, I probably should have taken that opinion to the grave. I picked this game over Super Mario Bros. 3. Yoshi's Cookie has a cute, fun aesthetic, goofy little cutscenes, and stunning visuals that all give the game a lot of character and become all the more impressive when playing on the Super Nintendo version, which is actually where the majority of this footage is coming from. Well, technically it was recorded using my complete-in-box Super Famicom copy, because apparently illnesses of the mind can never truly be cured. Anyway, Yoshi's Cookie is a goofy little cookie-themed puzzle game starring everyone's favorite goofy little guy, and it is every bit as fun to play as its cookies are fun to eat. This game is an absolute must-have for all NES collectors and puzzle game fans. And once again, it is my all-time favorite NES game. For some fucking reason. Katamari is still niche enough to count? Like, we keep getting multi-platform remakes with relatively massive advertising budgets, but I also still never hear anyone talking about it. Doesn't matter, I say it counts. Anyway, Katamari is a series of games about taking a tiny little ball and rolling it around until you pick up enough random crap to make it into a much bigger ball, and then taking that bigger ball and turning it into a star. It is without a doubt the single most ridiculous concept for any game I have ever played, and it is also quite possibly one of the greatest franchises ever made. With a ridiculous sense of humor, a playful art style, a unique control scheme that works infinitely better than it has any right to, and a long list of diverse and creative levels that see you cleaning up bedrooms, clearing out supermarkets, building snowmen, feeding sumo wrestlers, terrorizing school children, and much, much more. Really, the possibilities are endless. Each of the series' main levels are unique, creative, engaging, and downright ridiculous, and they all combine with a pretty brutal high score system, not to mention NPCs that actively feed your inferiority complex, to create a series of games with near infinite replayability. I have beaten 4 of the series' 6 mainline games, and the novelty and replay value has yet to wear off. And I cannot wait to play through the rest of the franchise. And I'm probably gonna do it sometime this year. Taiko No Tatsujin is a series that I will take basically any opportunity to talk about. I'm not quite sure if it's niche enough to count, because while I never really hear anyone talking about it, every time I bring it up, people seem to know what it is. Either way, as far as I'm concerned, if Katamari makes the list, then so can Don-chan. This is him, by the way. He's a Japan-exclusive plush that I managed to pick up in an import specialty store for only 40 bucks. And I love him so much. Taiko No Tatsujin is a rhythm game, and honestly a very simple one, all things considered. Every level can be played with only 2 buttons, although you do have the option to go up to 14, so the vast majority of the entertainment value comes from its goofy aesthetic, its lovable characters, its insanely diverse track list full of iconic songs from every corner of Japanese and American pop culture, and the way the game rapidly increases its difficulty until it becomes damn near unplayable. Oh, and also the iconic drum controller. Now, I don't own one of these yet, because they're a Japan exclusive product that costs a lot more than 40 bucks before shipping, but I did get the chance to try out an official Taiko No Tatsujin arcade cabinet earlier last year, and holy shit, it's the greatest thing ever made. I want one. Taiko No Tatsujin is a franchise that I only just started getting into in December of 2022, but its latest entry has quickly become my favorite rhythm game of all time. And when you consider just how simple it actually is and just how steep the competition can get, the government's decision to take away my right to an opinion starts to make a lot more sense. Lumines is a series of falling block puzzle games made by the guy that directed Tetris Effect. And if you liked Tetris Effect, you're gonna fucking love Lumines. The gameplay of Lumines is relatively simple. Blocks divided into a 2x2 grid composed of cubes made from either of 2 possible colors fall from the top of the screen, and you have a limited amount of time to figure out exactly how and where you want to place those blocks. If you manage to match any 4 cubes of the same color, those cubes and any connected ones of the same color disappear, and anything above them becomes a victim of Isaac Newton's worst discovery. As with any other falling block puzzle game, Lumines is easy to pick up and hard to master, but once you start to really get the hang of things, you can create line clears more satisfying than the best that Tetris has to offer. But as satisfying as the gameplay feels, the real selling point of Lumines is its visuals and audio. Like I said before, the game was created by the genius that directed Tetris Effect, and Lumines is absolutely covered in his fingerprints. The game is a visual and auditory wonder, with every level being more stylish and mesmerizing than the last. It is a game that will have you playing it over and over and over just to see what happens next, and the more you play it, the more you are rewarded. Every time I pick this game up for a couple minutes, I end up playing it for hours, so if this video comes out late, blame it on the fact that I had to record Lumines footage. Developed by Vanillaware and published by Atlas, 13 Sentinels Aegis Rim is one of the greatest games I have ever played. And if you can get over the fact that sometimes the characters are dressed like this, it'll probably end up being one of the greatest games you have ever played too. The game is an entire visual novel and also a full single-player RTS ripped out of their respective genres and duct taped together to create an absolute monster of a game. Each of the game's 2 modes could have been a full game all on their own, but they've been combined to create one of the most unique and engaging gaming experiences that I have ever had. The game's story is split across 3 different timelines and 13 separate protagonists, but it's all centered around one single mystery. Why do the kaiju keep coming to Earth, and how do we stop them from wiping out the human race a second time? You take on the role of each individual protagonist and play through their unique stories, solving their own personal mysteries one by one, slowly getting closer to the horrifying truth behind everything that has happened. The truth behind a dead world in the future, robot aliens in the past, and a present that just feels a little off. And along the way, it asks deep and meaningful questions about our place in the universe, about what makes us who we are, about how much of ourselves we can give up before we become someone else, about what truly matters, about who is truly important to us, about the relationships that we have and how they define the people we have become. The game confronts you with questions about human nature and the curse of existence, and then immediately after, it puts you into a big giant anime mech and tells you to punch a giant spider in the face. It's fucking awesome. 13 Sentinels is a game that I bought mainly because of its gorgeous art style. It's a game that I kept playing mainly because of its incredible story, and a game that I continued to come back to long after I beat it because of its badass combat. It is my second favorite game of all time, and if this video does well enough, maybe I'll talk about my first favorite in a part 2. Because I have a lot more to say about a lot more games that you've probably never played and possibly never even heard of. But in the meantime, maybe you should try something new. You might just find your own niche little obsession that no one cares about.
If you knew the world was gonna end in a couple of minutes, how would you spend them?
Where's all this coming from?
I just want to know how you feel.
Whoa. A few minutes, huh? That's not a lot of time. Well, I can't really get anywhere in a few minutes. So I guess I'd spend them with you.